In life, there are broadly 6 games that you can play: money, altruism, stability, autonomy, influence, and mastery. And here's the thing, most people are miserable because they're playing the wrong game. My name is Rohith Salim, and after a decade of building SpotDraft and raising over $75 million, I've had to learn, often the hard way, that the biggest mistake you can make is looking at someone else's scoreboard while you're trying to play your own game. This realization came to me while I was working at a hot startup in New York City back in 2014. I was at a bar with my friends after work when my aunt called, and I could immediately sense that something was wrong because she never calls at that time. And when I answered the call, I could tell that she was sobbing. Her father had passed away in a freak accident, and she wasn't sure if she could go back for the funeral because of visa restrictions. Watching her go through that and eventually make the decision of not going back and mourning with her mom and brother, it was just painful, and that really broke something in me. And I realized that while I was doing really well and winning at some level in the money and mastery game, I was living in a place where someone else could decide what job I could do and how long I could stay there. I was craving autonomy, but I didn't really have it. That realization that I was successful but not free is what brought me back to India and drove me into the startup trenches. Today, I want to share the 10 most important lessons that I've learned about work, life, and everything else in between. And my hope is that you can apply some of these lessons to save years of your life and become wildly more successful while playing your game. The first lesson is simply understanding the game that you're playing. The big mistake I see young founders make every single day is trying to play all 6 games at once. And look, there's no wrong reason for starting a business. Some of you watching this video may want to start a company to make a ton of money, while others may want to do it to control their own time. Neither one of these reasons are wrong. The problem arises when you make decisions that prevent you from playing the game that actually matters to you. For example, if you start a company for autonomy, but then you go out and raise venture capital, you basically created a conflict. So be thoughtful about the game you want to play and then go all in. Because you really can't win if you play too many games at once. But being clear about your game is only half the battle. Because even if you choose your game, life has a habit of changing the rules. Which brings me to the second thing I learned. Contrary to what people say, knowledge is not power. Optionality is. And optionality is the ability to change which game you're playing as quickly as possible when your life demands it. I learned this the hard way when my daughter was born. Suddenly, the autonomy and the mastery games that I'd been playing didn't feel as important. I craved for some stability. I wanted to be present, to slow down and just be a father. But I couldn't. We were in the middle of a major fundraise at SpotDraft, and there was just too much shit happening on the work front that I just couldn't pull myself out of. And because I hadn't built enough optionality into my life yet, I was forced to keep playing a high-intensity game, even though I knew my life had changed. And that made me miserable. Winning your game is important, but real power comes from being able to shift to a new game when life demands it. The reason it's so hard to maintain that optionality is because everyone around you is trying to pull you into their game. To protect your own path, you have to develop a very specific skill. It's the ability to look past people say and look at what they're incentivized to do. Because the truth is, the world runs on incentives. Take the relationship between a VC and a founder. A lot of founders are nudged by their investors to go out and raise round after round, year after year. Why do you think that is? Is it to capitalize on the opportunity in front of them? Sometimes. But raising this new round also allows the VC to show markups to their own investors to prove that their fund is performing well. This in turn allows them to raise their next fund, and that in turn allows them to collect even more in management fees. Now, I'm not saying that all VCs are evil, not at all. I think they play an important role in the startup ecosystem, and I do have some close friends who are VCs. But just be aware that some of the advice you receive may be driven by incentives that don't necessarily align with your best interests. Once you're able to dissect the incentives of your employees, your vendors, and even your family, you stop being a pawn in someone else's game and you start making decisions that actually align with your scorecard. If you want to play your own game and win, you can't just wing it. Most people treat their career goals like their New Year's resolutions. It's all vibes and no blueprint. But I'm here to tell you this, if you fail to plan, you're literally planning to fail. Having a plan, even a bad plan, is more valuable than having passion. Think about going to the gym. Imagine you walk in every day and just do something random. You pick up a dumbbell and do 3 sets of curls and then walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and then leave. Now compare that to someone who has a structured program. They know that Monday is legs, Tuesday is chest and back, Wednesday is shoulders and arms. Who do you think is going to see results? Success in life works exactly the same way. Before you decide to take a bold leap, you need to plan the landing. If you're going to start a company, have you actually sat down and thought through your runway for the next 18 months? And I don't mean company runway, I mean your personal runway. Have you honestly asked yourself what you will do in the very likely scenario that this specific idea doesn't work out? Don't just jump and hope to grow wings. Make sure you've packed your parachute as well. And part of that parachute is knowing when and who to ask for help. While I'm pretty careful with my time and money, there's one thing that I spend a lot of money on: buying other people's time, especially their expertise. Some of you watching this video probably have a gym trainer. I've had one too, and that too for the last 6 years. His primary goal is to make sure that I don't need to think or plan on what I need to do when I head to the gym. But here are some of the other people that I've hired over the years. A YouTube consultant to help me craft better videos. A product coach to make sure I leveled up while I led product at SpotDraft. A fixed fee financial advisor to make sure that I'm doing the right thing to grow my money. And most recently, I even hired a storytelling coach to help me craft more compelling narratives. I technically didn't need to hire any of these people. I could do what most people do, aka try and do things myself, make a bunch of mistakes, then learn and iterate. But why? I would rather pay to accelerate my learning. And the best way to do this is by hiring someone who's already done their 10,000 hours in that area that I want to learn more about. And yes, doing this costs money, but it gives me something even more valuable back: my time. Now, in this video, I've spoken a lot about startups and winning, but I want to share a perspective that you probably don't hear enough. We live in a culture that over-glamorizes entrepreneurship. Funding rounds are usually what trends all over social media, and founders are often treated like movie stars. And this can make you think that starting a company is the only path to success. But I'm here to tell you that it's a lie. There are plenty of jobs out there that offer a better quality of life and in many cases pay you much better than what a founder starts to make, and that too without the 2 a.m. panic attacks. I want to tell you about a close friend of mine who's a senior product manager at Facebook. During a recent visit, I asked him, "Dude, you're one of the most brilliant people I know. Why don't you just leave Facebook and do something for yourself?" He looked right at me and said,
"Rohith, I'm already doing something for myself. I'm working on interesting problems, and I also have the headspace to live my life."
And this guy, by the way, his hobby is to collect hobbies, and he has some of the most interesting hobbies I've ever seen. He still plays basketball every weekend and hosts these incredible whiskey tasting nights where he brings together all his friends. And more importantly, he's super present for his kids. He's lived his life to the fullest because he chose a path that fueled his lifestyle rather than a path that consumed it. So, if your 9 to 5 gives you the capital and the time to be the person you want to be, you haven't failed at entrepreneurship. You've just won at life. Choosing that balance matters because startups are long and arduous. We're talking 10 years of your life, and even then, success isn't guaranteed. But here's something I wish more people understood. Building a great business should be in service of building a great life, not the other way around. Today, I meet a lot of founders, and the reality is that the ones I truly admire aren't just talking about their company MRR or their next big product release. They're just as excited to talk about weekend plans with their family. But the number of founders that I personally know who've gone through messy divorces is honestly staggering. Would you be happy with a massive, successful exit if it meant you had to fight for visitation rights to see your son or daughter? I know I wouldn't. But a lot of founders assume that their family is on pause. They think that their partner and kids will just be waiting there exactly as they left them once the business is ready for them to step back. It just doesn't work that way. To build a great life, you have to put in the time to cultivate those important relationships while you're building the company. If you win the money game and lose the people you were supposed to share this win with, did you actually win? The ultimate goal of playing your own game is to reach a point where you can be truly intentional with your decisions. But here's the trap. When you start to see success, the world will start throwing golden handcuffs at you. And I experienced this firsthand when I decided to step down from my role at SpotDraft. Suddenly, I had several incredible opportunities coming my way. And one of them was a role as the managing director of the Indian entity of a publicly traded US software company. They offered me a salary of nearly 3 crores and stock on top of that. To put that in perspective, that single year's salary was more than the total salary I'd paid myself over the almost 7 years I spent building SpotDraft. Was I flattered? Absolutely. Was it tempting to just take the win and the status? Of course. But I turned it down. Instead, I took a role at Plaksha University teaching entrepreneurship. They paid me just enough to cover my travel and monthly expenses. Now, why would anyone in their right mind do that? Well, call me crazy, but I chose to be intentional. First, I realized that if I were to go back into a corporate leadership role, I wouldn't want my universe of options to just be one company that just happened to reach out. I'd want to interview at 20 places and then make an educated choice. Second, and more importantly, the Plaksha role offered me something money couldn't buy. The chance to really give back and the flexibility to own my time while I figured out my next chapter. So this is my advice to you. Don't just jump at the first shiny object that comes your way. The biggest waste of success is using it to buy a life you don't actually want. Be intentional about your goals and have the courage to make the logical decision, even if it looks crazy on a spreadsheet. So let's say you do everything right and live your life with intentionality. Your reward here is freedom. But there's something that will enhance your life even more, and that's a strong network. Because the cliche is true, your network is your net worth. But forget the networking you see on LinkedIn. Most people approach it with what I like to call a what can I get mindset. They go to events because they want a job, or a new lead, or an investment. But that energy is palpable. And frankly, it's awkward. I found that if you lead with giving, helping people whenever you can without really expecting a single thing in return, everything changes. Firstly, you build a massive amount of social capital. You might be surprised, but people genuinely remember who showed up for them. And more importantly, it changes how you feel. When you're a consistent giver, you lose that shyness and awkwardness to ask for help when you actually need it. The universe has a way of rewarding that kind of openness. So put a bunch of value out there and you'll be surprised by what comes back. Giving is a big part of building your network. The other piece is being smart with who you choose to network with. Most people out there have 10 other people who are exactly like them as a part of their network. For example, if you're an engineer and everyone you know is an engineer in their 30s living in a tech hub, you don't have a network. You have an echo chamber. This is something that I feel very strongly about because I've experienced it. When I decided to exit from SpotDraft, one of the things that I painfully realized was that my entire network was other B2B SaaS founders or other lawyers. It was large, but also very narrow. So I made a conscious effort to meet people who are very different, and I learned a ton from them. A diverse network allows you to see the world from different perspectives. As some of you may know, I'm currently teaching an entrepreneurship class at Plaksha, and one of the things that I really enjoy is working with my students on their startups. They approach things from a fresh perspective without any baggage. And that in turn makes me question some of my own biases. I genuinely feel like I developed a new sense of optimism because of all the time I've spent with my 20-year-old students. So that's my final piece of advice. Build a diverse network for yourself. I promise you that it's going to compound over time. These are 10 of the most powerful lessons that I've learned. 10 things that I learned through a decade of building, failing a whole bunch, and picking myself back up. I genuinely hope you all build with intentionality. And if you have any thoughts on other topics that I should create a video about, drop a comment below. I'm Rohith Salim, and I'll see you in the next one.